It's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, you gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How you doing? Tudo bem? Como estás? Right. Sending love to Veronica this morning, our friend in the USA. Now, Veronica, she may have been traveling over or was in California just recently. She'd gone to assist her father, who wasn't very well. Sadly, her father passed away. So we're sending love and hugs to Veronica, and we'll pay a little bit of a tribute. She's such a pro. She sent us some footage of her time in California. She sent me a really very moving tribute to her father and some lovely video of her spending some time where she grew up. So we'll share some of that. She obviously won't be with us this morning. I think she'll be back next month. But sending you love, Veronica. Carl Hyde will be joining us at 9:30 or around then. And at 10 o'clock, I've got an old friend joining us. I'm going to stay on a little bit longer because I've got an old mate by the name of Rowan Ford in the United Kingdom, in the snowy United Kingdom. And he and I used to work together on a radio station. It was a radio station that I helped put together in the UK. It was my last job, really, before I came out to Portugal. And they've just gone on to the DAB network in the UK, in the southwest of England. And I want to have a chat with Rowan about what's been happening at Access All Aerials that we really were working together on about it must be longer than that, 10 years ago, I think. But yeah, we maybe started it 10 years ago. And it's still going strong. It's a radio station for people with a range of disabilities. And they have, look, they're on smart speaker, online app, and now DAB. So I'll be talking to Rowan about that if you want to stick around and find out more. If you're a bit of a radio fan and want to learn a bit more about what I was doing before I came out to Portugal, I'll be chatting to Rowan about that. So quite a real estatey sort of flavor this morning, the state of real estate here in Portugal. Thank you for being here. Good morning to you, Jackie. Bon dia, Gumpers. João Ernesto. Bon dia, Portugal. Sarah's in as well. Thank you for joining me for that little video yesterday, Sarah. Mike is in also. Antonio F, how are you doing? Good to see you, Antonio. Oh, yes, and you were mentioning a little scam that we should be aware of. I know you're up to speed, vigilant, and aware of such things. So let's come back to that a little bit later on as well to save people from any wrongdoing and embarrassment possibly as well. There's Mike's greeting. Bon dia, everyone, and a bon dia from Sarah as well. And Coach Turner, still in Madeira. With a simple enjoy there. Nothing wrong with that. Yes, we'll do our best, and we'll hear your God Squad tip of the day a little bit later on as well. Thank you very much, Coach. Even whilst on holiday, there he is, sending us messages, thinking of us and our bodily well-being. Bodily well-being, of course, leads to mental well-being. Talking of mental well-being, bon dia, Gumpers, James, the old guy in Europe. Feliz quinta a todos, como va? Just giving you a bit of vocabulary that you yourself can use for the rest of the day today. He's pleased to see Antonio as well. Look at him there. And there's Antonio's bon dia todos as well, which is what you can shout when you walk into the cafe. Pop into the cafe and give it a blast to that this morning. Bon dia todos or bon dia Portugal. Make sure you video that one as well if you do that. What's this? Jackie and ladybirdartistry.com. Have we got Ladybird? Oh, I see. Is that as in the Ladybird Artistry, not Ladybird Books? That's your own kind of trademark name, is it, for what you do? Ladybirdartistry.com. Well, we need to have a look at that, don't we? I might have to pop that into the old Google, which I see is being empowered by AI now. and have a look at us. We could have a quick look at that this morning and see what Jackie's been up to. Should we do that, Jackie? Should have a little look at your website on the screen this morning. Yeah, a few giggles as well, mixing it up with the real estate. Carl joining me at 9:30. How are you this morning? Anything caught your eye in the news? Anything made you giggle? We like giggles, don't we? We like a bit of fun in the morning. So if you've seen any, I do get sent quite a lot of marvelous memes, and sobering and inspiring ones as well. Have I already loaded this up into the picture deck? This was going to be the opening meme this morning before the title started. This is right on, isn't it? Enjoy life. It has an expiration date. Looks a bit of a Banksy there, whether it is or whether it isn't. The little girl and a tabby cat there with a message for us. Enjoy life. It has an expiration date. We need that reminder sometimes, don't we? Right. Also, yes, an important message from Vitor Costa as well in the wake of the American political goings on. Over to you, Vitor.
Hello everyone, good evening. So I wanted to make this quick video because a lot of people said that the 2020 US election got rigged. A lot of people are saying now that the 2024 election got rigged, but there is one thing that I can tell you for certain, and this is the truth. This 4-bedroom property is available right now between Barcelos and Braga. Look at this living room, look at this footage, look at all this property has to offer. Give me a call and I'll give you more details, okay? See you soon, Vitor from Portugal Door.
Isn't he amazing? Right. Okay. There are a couple of things I was hoping to discuss with our real estate experts today. You might like to chip in with your view on this as well. Carl, I changed my business name, but website isn't available to public yet. Okay. All right. You're just priming us for when it hits the streets, right? Or the virtual streets. We'll be soon though, mate, with some knitted delights and stuff I made and painted, but not yet. All right. I'm jumping, got a bit premature there. I think. For some reason, I'm linking a story in the Portuguese news about stealthing and being premature. I don't think I should go into any of that right now. Let's go back to those real estate stories and share those with you. And then we'll pop over virtually to California and look at some of the lovely footage that Veronica sent us and hear a little bit about her dad as well. So first off then, let's go to the Trump victory putting pressure on Americans' search for Portugal properties. And I'm sure Carl will have more to say about this, because that's a great picture, isn't it, of 2 American flags there. Are you allowed to wear them like scarves like that? It seems a bit disrespectful. Anyway, the results of the US elections has had an immediate impact on the search for a home in Portugal, which is re-emerging on the European scene as a preferred destination for relocating North Americans. The other thing is, I've got a long-lost Portuguese video, which it was my great delight to discover yesterday. He and I are talking about doing some cover versions together, and we've got a good one lining up for you. So if you yeah, stand by, because we've got a great idea lined up. Well, we think it is anyway. It always remains to be seen, doesn't it? In talking to him, I found out about an earlier cover version he'd made. David Bowie, a bit of David Bowie for you this morning as well, in relation to Chinese shops, the Chingados here in Portugal. Right, I'm trying to find a banner because with all that's gone on this morning, it was with one thing and another. I didn't manage to put. Should we just have a quiet screen without something scrolling across it in a rolling news style? Let's just try a quiet screen this morning, and if anything comes up, we shall pop that up a little bit later on. Okay, but yeah, suffice to say, sending love to you, Veronica, this morning, and we'll come back to you and the lovely video that you sent to us. But in the meantime, let's have a look at this. According to real estate consultancy Athena Advisors, Donald Trump's victory in the last elections could be a big boost for Portugal, and in general, Europe will once again be seen as a stronghold for those looking for a new start abroad. And I suspect there are quite. Oh, look, there's a graph. There's a graph with a hockey stick spike in it. And oh, that's very interesting, because there's the Trump-Biden changeover over the past 5 years, the Golden Visa program, postponements, changes, and deadlines. Yeah, all of that caused a little bit of a spike in the graph there. And the Trump victory at the end there with a big old spike. And I'm sure there's another graph, isn't there, or some statistics which tell you how many people say they're going to move and are interested in moving, how many actually do. after the sort of emotional aspect of it has calmed down a little bit. Anyway, I'm sure that's probably in the post and making its way towards us. Athena Advisors compared Google Analytics data in the pre and post election week, and there was this is the search term Portugal property. Very interesting. And there was an increase of more than 26% in traffic to its Golden Visa landing page on the real estate consultancy's global website. Likewise, in an analysis of Google Trends, the consultancy found that the terms Portugal property and Portugal Golden Visa are registering the highest number of searches in the United States in the last 5 years. These terms reached their peak popularity between November 3rd and 9th. You may not be surprised to hear. And this game always comes up. And this advert here, and the music that goes with it that now is etched onto my sonic subconscious. Let me just... gotcha. In the opinion of the real estate consultancy, the exponential demand... You're right there, Mrs. M? I think she's crawling around in the back of the studio. The exponential demand for houses for renting indicates that Americans want a quick solution to leave the country. And once in Portugal, they try to analyze the dynamics of the city and the real estate market itself before starting to purchase a property. Now, Kipper-Tree is going to be right up your street if you're one of those. There's the hand. The attraction to Portugal already existed. Oh, there's the Portugal visa, Golden Visa spike as well right there on that graph that you can see on the screen. Just make sure you can. Yes, you can. The attraction to Portugal already existed. The results, yes, those of us here can smugly say, yes, we knew that. We acted on it a long time ago. The result of the last elections only accentuated it, highlights Neve Erbeck. That's an interesting combination of names there, isn't it? Sales director at Athena Advisors, who at the time of the elections was on a roadshow in New York. Our clients look at Portugal as a unique investment opportunity with an additional layer of attractiveness. An investment opportunity with an additional layer of attractiveness. I would put it to you that we're a core of attractiveness, actually. With an additional and unique investment opportunity. But I guess with the business therein, they put it that way around. Stable governance, cultural richness, and an attractive lifestyle. And talking of which, yes, that Mark Manson is feeling the rough end of my tongue this morning in the Portugal Resident. You know that video, decoding or whatever he said. What's that? My ears. The silent script. Are you not hearing anything? I wonder. Did we not see anything from Vita? I'm not sure what you're referring to there, James. Maybe something went wrong a little bit earlier on that only until now I'm aware of. Anyway, back to the story here. So there you go. Stable governance, cultural richness, and an attractive lifestyle. On my visit to the USA, I saw that more and more investors are attracted by the advantages of the Golden Visa, not just as a financial asset, but as a gateway to stability and quality of life. Long may that continue. Politics is that, yes, and that was until they started chucking bombs around in Ukraine, Russia. Politics, or ramped it up a bit, I should say. Politics is one of the most frequently cited reasons for the recent wave of American migration to Portugal that we have seen at Athena Advisors, comments David Moura George. I think we've given you a nice plug this morning, director of the real estate consultancy in Portugal. And although Portugal and Europe are not exempt from their own political and social issues, that's true, with access to housing on the order of the day, the moderation of divisive rhetoric makes North Americans feel like our country is a refuge where they can count on a stable environment, a well-ranked public health system around the world, and private healthcare costs that are much lower than the American equivalents, all the things we're familiar with, right? On the other hand, despite the global and widespread rise in prices, the cost of living in Portugal continues to be attractive, especially if we compare it with the large cities in the USA that many Americans are leaving behind, he concludes. So there you go. No comments. Have they shut off the comments over at the Portugal News? Because they are often the best bits. And I imagine, can you imagine the hybrid of putting the new Jaguar story? Have you seen the new Jaguar video? Jaguar, I mean, why am I saying it Jaguar? Jaguar caused quite the furore. Honestly, you Jaguar fans are a right bunch of snowflakes. You really got your panties in a bunch yesterday, didn't you? I'm going to sell my Jaguar. I can't bear it anymore. Oh, honestly. And Bon Di Alegria Gumpers from T-Duck as well. I think you're going to love a little bit of this Californian footage that I'm going to show in a moment, T-Duck. Not sure what happened that James is referring to there. Was Vitor's video silent, perhaps, there? Okay. The good thing we know is that Carl will order the right fitting for his paradise dress through an old guy, though not through. Yeah, you're looking at my you're looking at my adverts. Mrs. M uses this computer as well. I'm not saying I haven't ordered a nice, tightly fitting dress, but I'm not saying I haven't or that I have. I choose not to make it a matter of public record just yet. Maybe it's what I'll be wearing in the new video that I'll be making with the Portuguese. Yeah, and a brilliant video from him to come later on. I might be wrong. Morning, Chris. Chris is joining us this morning. Might be wrong, but I think real estate is headed for a major cooling down period. I think you're right. We'll talk to Carl about this later. While there is a shortage of affordable housing for Portuguese, yeah, and that's where that's where we'd like to see some focus and some action, right? Get some affordable housing sorted out for the Portuguese natives, of course. There is a glut for wealthy expats. Agents are now quoting up to 1 year ahead to sell a home. Really? As in not when they list it, but when they're giving you a year time span for when they might be able to close for you. I'm not sure. As far as Americans coming here to live full time, while interest might be high, I suspect people actually making the transition or will have all but stopped. Americans, contrary to their common belief, pay some of the lowest net taxes in the developed. I'm sure that's right, and I do wince a little bit when I hear that Portugal is being sold as any kind of tax haven, because this is not a country to come to if you want to avoid tax. There are tax advantages for sure that make it more attractive, I suppose, in some ways, if you fit the bill and the criteria. But generally speaking, this is a high taxation country, and a poster boy, I suppose, poster girl of a country that charges quite high taxes and spends them as well on public services that are discernible. Discuss below. That's always a somewhat touchy issue, isn't it? We went into that on Tuesday, of course, with the Portuguese, and we go deeper into these sorts of things on a Tuesday night with the Portuguese at 7 p.m. And then there's of course, the Portugal Club social thereafter, where I can unwind a little bit and have a little drink. Bom dia todos from Squire of the Shires. How are you doing? We got our residency here then. Time flies. When are we talking about that? Is there a dateline I missed on that? And hi, everyone. Sorry for the late joining. Had an early meeting to attend. You never need to apologize. It's lovely to see you here, Gemini. How are you doing? In a cold UK at the moment, estate agents reckon they can sell within a year. I viewed properties when I was there that had been on the market minimum of 5 years. There's some properties that have been on the market for 25 years in Portugal. Chris makes a good point, and Americans are always taxed by the states, even if they move. It is more internal migration that goes on there. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? People moving around to avoid state taxes and getting the best deal. The bang for their buck, of course. Yes, be careful if you think, check again if you truly think that Portugal is in any way some kind of tax haven. If you've got the right criteria and the right advisors, then yes, it can be minimized. But certainly it's not like one of those great tax. It's not the Cayman Islands or the Isle of Man, is it? Right here. Right. Hopefully you are hearing me. I'm concerned about James's earlier message. I suspect you are, because you heard what I read. Very, very Voldy, coldy, I'm thinking perhaps there. And the NHR, yes, if you get the NHR, it's very good. That's 10% tax. That's what I mean about having the right criteria and fitting the bill, the tax bill in this case. So yes, and for certain kinds of people, you can still get NHR under some circumstances. And some of you who came over and just skinched in by the deadline of last year will be able to enjoy that as well. Not all states, of course. We talk about these sorts of things on the Dream Team session. That'll be tonight at 9 o'clock. After talking of all this real estate business, let me remind you that, of course, we'll be talking to Daniel Reyes of Reyes and Pelicano tonight. He's much loved as a lawyer. Legal tips for buying property in Portugal. The expert insights you need for a smooth property transaction here in Portugal. That's tonight, 7:30. make sure you're signed up over at Expats Portugal if you want to be a part of that this evening. And then at 9 o'clock, you can talk to Gilda or a deputy thereof. It'll either be the Queen of the Visas or one of the princesses or ladies in waiting. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll talk to the Dream Team tonight, and Nuno will be back with us, I'm sure, for that as well. I've been living in the same apartment in Lisbon for more than 3 years. My rent is lower now than it was in April 2021. Thank you for that feedback. You missed my explanation. It's okay. Just keep stomping on my jokes and punchlines. They're not funny anymore. We're going to work on that, James. We're going to work on that. Right. Okay. We've got actually a new property video from the great Terence Austin, Renaissance man. He's a painter. He's an artist. He's a painter, and he makes a cracking real estate video as well. As you'll have seen if you saw that, the wonderful Quinta dos Tres Rios with Hugh. He made that video along with help from brother Gary, and son Ben as well. Another one from him that we'll show. See if you can guess the town that was made in. Oh, Sarah came in 2020. We have a place under construction here. Until the recent elections, we thought we'd spend time in both places. Glad we're really happy here. I think we can draw a little bit from that, can't we? Yes, let me see if I can find that. I've got the things are a bit all over the place, and will probably continue to be for the rest of the show. And then we'll talk. It'll be even more chaotic when the great Rowan Ford joins me at 10 o'clock as well. If you want to stick around and find out a bit more about what I used to do before I came to Portugal, be talking to Rowan about the online radio station that we started together. Okay, so yeah, we've got the Portuguese's video. I think I might wait until. No, I better play that before Carl comes on. He might not want to besmirch his professional reputation being associated with such things. What's this one here? That's beautiful as well. I'm going to play that when Carl comes on. I squirreled that away yesterday. That's really good. Let me find for you whilst I'm doing that. Yes, don't forget about this as well. Save this date, February of next year. There you go. Oh, Adelia, wait a minute. Not ready for you just yet. That was a great freeze frame as well there, wasn't it? 1 degree in London. Brrr. Keep warm, Mum. And Gemini's not my mum. My mum also lives in London. Sending love to Veronica, of course. Let's play Veronica's video in just a moment. And not all states have income taxes, sales taxes, etc. That's why people move around, isn't it? 20% when Pete got the NHR. Yes, the NHR is very good. Okay, let's go see where Veronica's been, shall we? And then do a little bit of a tribute to her dad. I don't think many of us would have known him here, but when I read some of the beautiful words that she wrote about him, you'll get a feeling that you know him and how lovely it would have been to know him when he graced this earth, and the love clearly that Veronica and her family and friends and the whole community felt for her father. So first of all, let me bring. Oh, this is lovely. This is really wonderful. This is her driving along in her automobile. This may bring back a few memories. Oh, sorry. Hold on a minute. I've got to make a bit of room here for. So that what can I get rid of? You see, I'm hoarding all of these old videos here, which is not a great thing. Let me see if that's enough room. It's really difficult letting go of some of my treasured videos here in the video deck. Let me see if it works this time. Ah, yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay, let's go to Veronica in California now. A couple of videos and then a little bit about her father as well. As soon as it's just loaded up onto the video deck here, bear with me just a moment. Tamer, what does that mean? Oh, I browse the rental listings here all the time. Prices have been slowly coming down and the number of listings has been going up. We would have already moved, but changing our address at IMA would be a nightmare. That is true, isn't it? And I was talking, who was I talking to about? Why can't they make that a security? That would be a major step, wouldn't it? One giant leap for mankind, as it were, or expat mankind in Portugal. is if IMA made a back office area that you could log into and change these things. I mean, presumably you can't change your details at the moment because you can't go secure back office into your own part of IMA. That's what they need to do. Hopefully they're working on that at the moment. And when I was speaking to Andy the other day, who lives in Aveiro, he said, yeah, his old apartment hasn't been re-rented out. It's cooling down in the rentals, definitely. That's not continuing to go through the roof. So interesting things happening. Good to get your feedback on that this morning. Here's Veronica in California. T-Duck, this may bring back a few memories.
How appropriate is this? Hotel California is on the radio, and I'm driving through downtown Huntington Beach. It's amazing how much it changes every time you come back. This used to be nothing when I was growing up. I think we had like a Jack in the Box and this little place called at the pier. And now it's an entire town here. It's crazy. This is why we know that properties by the beach and by rivers will always go up in value. So my Villa Real de Santo Antonio friends, you're doing the right thing. Oh, there's something fun going on. Surf City, something going on.
Those of you who grew up in California, I think it was Huntington. Is that the same as Santa Barbara? Those of you who grew up there, I think are so lucky. And I know it was the Eagles, and I know I'll get a copyright strike for that. But that to me, as a Brit, is just so iconic and wonderful. Those palm trees driving down like a boulevard in is that what you'd call it in the States? But anyway, down the not even a highway, is it yet? That's just what you'd call a small street, I guess, in the USA. But that whole thing, and I remember doing that, driving through LA. With the radio on. Just Americans just do that so well. And if you're an American, you won't know what I'm talking about because it's what you grew up with, right? And you know, we have our Costa de Caparica with its 3 palm trees, but you get a sense of why people think that coast, why our coast here in Portugal is like California. Thank you so much for that, Veronica, thinking of us. I need to delete that one and put another one up now because we're so rammed on our video deck there. A little bit more from Veronica here, and then we'll hear a bit more about her dad as well. Huntington, I think she said. And do you know that? Are those the streets that you found yourself on as a youth and a young man there, T-Duck? Absolutely love it. I had to play that, even though I will get a little message from YouTube a little bit later on. Now the sea in California as well.
Oh, look at this. Another beautiful day in paradise. So we have our beautiful beaches in Portugal. And then here's Doggy Beach. This is where people can take their doggies in Huntington Beach. And it's nice because it's a proper place for people with dogs. And clearly surfers, it's a good surfing beach. Ooh, someone just caught a good wave. This is Bolsa Chica. It's right next to Huntington, which is just down there. And Huntington has the bigger waves. It's another surfer.
Yeah, there you go. That's Huntington. Northern and Southern California, says James, are 2 completely different worlds and experiences. My rental comments, says T-Duck, was specific to Lisbon. I also follow the market in Caldas da Rainha. I see prices here going up and the supply going down. Yes, I suppose, yes. It's like as the focus of attention goes through a place, you'll get that phenomenon, perhaps there, phenomenon of the challenge to the inventory, pricing going up, and then it reaches a sort of saturation, natural saturation. And who knows how long that lasts in any given place, of course, as well. And you see little sort of microclimates of that. Alcobaça because of Portugal to place. Caldas possibly because of Heather Binder. The Eagles may be good, but we had some great classic drive time music. Everybody wants to rule the world and Club Tropicana. But we also took so many cues from the United States. Come on, Pete. I know UK has punched way above its weight in terms of its musical imprint on the world. But come on, we took a lot of cues from the United States as well. I spent my high school years in Southern California in the late 70s, early 80s. It really was the ideal fantasy image everyone has. Oh, everyone, unfortunately, nowadays it's just a memory. Present reality pales. It does, doesn't it? I mean, that is life as well. But how wonderful. I mean, being able to say you're in Southern California in the 70s and 80s is like being able to say you're in swinging 60s London, right? Although, if you remember it, you probably weren't there. That's what they say about swinging 60s London. Call those waves in Nazareth their belly. Oh, Pete is having a little bit of sibling rivalry here. The special relationship is having a little bit of a jostle here. James, good morning to you. Bon dia to you. It's like the locust swarms. Real estate motion. Okay. Let's go back to Veronica now. Thank you for giving us those memories for some people of Southern California. Was that Southern? That was Southern there, wasn't it? And a little bit from her tribute to her dad. I think this is so lovely. This is for in loving memory of Michael Thomas Owens. And there's this sort of perennial inspiring extract here. And this took place, his memorial ceremony, I believe. Oh, that's to come. That's to come. But we do have some words that will be read out, and just some of them that I have here. I want to just read a paragraph here that I think is just so inspiring and lovely and important to share. Thank you, Veronica, for including us in this memory of your father. What was truly remarkable about Dad, she says, was his pure heart. We cannot recall him ever saying anything negative to or about anyone. All who got to know him through his long visits have commented on what a genuinely nice man he was. This wasn't just politeness. It was who he was at his core. His brain simply didn't work in negative ways. He was just happy to be with people, genuinely content in whatever situation he found himself in. Oh my goodness, isn't that beautiful? I think the world could do with a few more of people of that kind, of that caliber. So rest in peace, Michael Thomas Owens, and lots of love to you, Veronica. Should you get to see this, we're sending you love and hugs from the Gumper community here. Thank you very much for in this time in this time for you thinking about us as well. That's what you're like, Veronica, thinking about others. And whilst you've got so much going on for yourself. Right. Hit that like button, folks, says Antonio F. And USA took a light from the UK. Shirley Bassey, Tom Jones, the Beckhams. Our great export, the Beckhams. Sorry, America. The USA. I mean, great footballer and terrible pop singer. An interesting phenomenon. But really, come on. I don't think the Beckham should be in the same sentence as Shirley Bassey. Tom Jones of the USA can keep him. I didn't read that bit. Okay. And Mark Knopfler as well. Very interesting. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Keep it coming. And let's give him a nice big round of applause. I mean, he might even know, the Manchester connection, David Beckham. This man might have rubbed shoulders with the great David. Let's find out. Carl, hi. Hello, mate.
Morning. How are you?
How about that? David Beckham. The Beckham's a great export.
I will have nobody slandering David Beckham, okay? He's a Manchester United icon, a world-class player, so I'll hear none of it, okay?
Woo!
Yeah. Okay. Although I will say he's a terrible actor, and I'm not a fan of his music, okay?
Thank you. Yes. His I guess the adulation is best kept for his on-pitch performances, right? Outside. And that's genius for you, isn't it? Often a genius is only good in their area of operation, and the rest of their life is,
Well, listen, I'll tell you what, he's got a massive business empire. He owns a large share in Inter Miami. So,
all right, I'll just shut up.
He might sound a little bit, behind the door, but he's definitely not behind the door. He's a smart. I'm trying to pick my words carefully, but he's got a, he's kind of softly spoken and that, and I think to listen to him, you think maybe he's unassuming. He's a very smart guy and a very smart businessman. So
no, fair enough. And it just sounds classic UK tall poppy syndrome, doesn't it? Is have a go at the people who've become successful. Yeah. I don't mean to do that. I mean, what's interesting though is when we think about what the UK wave of music and culture. that went across that included, you know, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. I mean, I don't even like the Rolling Stones, but I do recognise their contribution. Yeah. And then the Beckhams are tagged onto that. It just there just seems to be a little bit of a mismatch in that form.
Oh, yeah.
Right. However, T-Duck has never listened to David Beckham. What album would you recommend as an introduction to the great man's work? Which I guess that's a season of football, isn't it, rather than an album?
Yeah, look at the 99-2000 season if you want to see some peak David Beckham.
Football genius. Okay.
Yeah, he really. I'll tell you what, seriously, he was an underrated footballer. He does not get the recognition he deserves. Yeah, people just think he was a decent player who works hard. He was a world-class player, and any team in the world would have peak David Beckham in their team today. Any team in the world. He does not get the recognition he deserves for the work on the pitch. So, which is a compliment.
Which is a compliment as well, isn't it? You know, he's not one of those sort of glory boys that is remembered in quite the same way as other footballers. But prolific, hardworking, and somebody who as you say, any team would want to have.
Self-belief.
In fantasy football terms, yes, but just skip his penalties. You see, this is more of that tall poppy syndrome, isn't it? This is UK representing right here. Yeah, but what about?
Let's tell you, okay, let's talk about free kicks in World Cup qualifiers. Yeah,
that'll do. Yeah.
There you go.
Cometh the hour, cometh the man. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Deliver the goods.
I can hear the national anthem playing in my head as I see him step up in my mind's eye. Happy memories there. And I'm not even that big a football fan. That tells you something. I'm not a massive football fan. I'll do like a World Cup tournament. And yes, I can just you saying that is moving for me as not much of a football fan. So
it's like I'm not a rugby fan, but you know, I think it was Johnny Wilkinson.
Yes.
You know, so I really know nothing about rugby, but I know Johnny Wilkinson and his exploits in like the early 2000s. I think it was now. You know, so some people and they just transcend their sport or their profession. You know, they just become something else. You know, maybe a bit mythical. I don't know, but
it is interesting that distinguish themselves under pressure.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, how you're known in the Lisbon real estate market.
Oh, yeah.
You are the great free kick taker of the Lisbon real estate scene, whilst all around you are losing their heads, price inflation, lack of inventory. You're chugging away like David Beckham.
Yeah, I'm chugging away. Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind that expression. My dad would say something like that. Ticking along, my dad would always.
Yes, absolutely. Steady.
Nicely. So
steady influence in the team.
Yeah, it's a tough business, and you really, you know, in real estate, you really do just have to tick along because aside from all the open houses and you know, champagne and all the exciting stuff, behind all that, is a lot of hard work, a lot of disappointment. It really is. It's just like if you take disappointment or rejection too personally. You will not last in this business. It is brutal. So I'm on my third year, and
well done, mate.
I think I've aged a little bit, you know, in that time. So,
We've still got more Beckham whataboutism here, I think. That sending off against Argentina, though, Carl, that's for you, not for me.
That was a soft sending off, Pete. I won't have none of it. Okay.
Yes, well said.
Wind your neck in, Pete.
Wind it in, Peter. Lots of love to you. He's trying to be nice. I missed this on the feedback sandwich. Compliment, insult, compliment.
I need to get back up there and see him. We spent a fantastic weekend there with the kids, with Pete and Diane, and what an amazing place he's got. Yeah,
absolutely. I had a Algar Frank review of your hospitality as well, Pete. He found it very relaxing being with you. That's for sure. And there is another. Carl really does know. That was a feedback sandwich, wasn't it? It was like, lovely to see you. Then what about that Argentinian sending off?
Just throwing it in there. I'm having none of it. A Danish referee, I think he was biased. It was a soft sending off. And so David Beckham has no blame. As far as
and to be fair, you are not a Knightsbridge Man U fan, are you? I mean, a lot of people are Man United fans, and they don't have share the same pedigree or background as you, do they? How do you feel about that as a Man United fan? Does it matter?
No, I don't think I've got any more right to support them, or you know, that my view is more important than somebody else's. They're a global phenomenon, and I think a lot of people don't understand that because you know I talk to people here I mean, it's a universal language here. People will say, when they say, where are you from? I always say Manchester, England. That's always my response.
Right.
And then it's like,
High five.
City. Yeah, well, it's United or City. And I say, listen, 15 years ago, you wouldn't have been saying that.
Yes, it's true.
United. So you've got, the blue. I'm not going to call it the blue half because it's not half. They're not even. They're not a patch. They're not got the history, and they're not going to. I don't think they're going to be able to buy that history and the prestige that Manchester United have got. They've got an excellent team. They've got the best manager in the world. Wonderful players. But the fact is, when Manchester United go travelling, when they go around the world, if they're in Asia or Africa or anything like that, it is orders of magnitude more. In the news and coverage and fans turning up. So I think there's only two clubs that really get that in the world, and I think that's Real Madrid and Manchester United.
So
maybe
in a funny sort of way. Yeah, in a funny sort of way. Then it's like Man United are the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and Man City are the Beckhams. In terms of,
I can't associate David Beckham with Man
City. I'm sorry to do that to you. Okay, all right, fair enough.
I feel like these low blows are coming in today, Carl. I might just start having connection issues if you carry on.
He's going to walk off. He's going to walk off. All right, okay, let's come back to United and this, because yesterday I got Raquel and Nunu to teach Man United fans how to say Amorim. Yeah. How are you finding that? Does it hurt a little bit when you hear your fellow Man United fans calling him Amorim?
Yeah, well, it doesn't hurt, but I do listen to it because I listen to a lot of United podcasts. It's one of my. I must spend a couple of hours a day listening to Manchester United podcasts. Really? I really am very much into it. And so, when I hear it, I think I'd like to go on and say, let me just tell you, this is how it should be said. Yes. Obviously, it can get a bit petty and pedantic. People are always trying to correct people, but they do say it wrong. They just can't. They can't say João. They always say João. Yeah. So it'd be João Felix.
And there was
João Felix.
There was Jose Mourinho, of course.
Jose, which I know. I saw an interview with him one time. He said, they've been calling me. They've not used my correct name ever since I arrived here, and I think it really bit at him because it's not Jose, it's Jose.
Jose, and he's from Setúbal, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's a Setúbal man.
So I asked the question of Raquel and Nuna yesterday. How should they make Senor Amorim feel at home in Manchester? And they were saying, he's got no instant coffee. Got to be a decent coffee maker in his dressing room and in the office, and maybe pastel de natas on tap, as it were.
Listen, Carl, you can get pastel de nata. I mean, I'm not saying they're anything like. I love pastel de nata. Yeah, every summer when family come, we go to Pastéis de Belém, and it's part of our little ritual. But you can buy pastel de nata now in Tesco and Asda, the Portuguese custard tart.
It's as though the foundations have been laid, isn't it, already, for his welcome, the chosen one at Man United. But from a Mancunian point of view, what? Yes, that's what we call people from Manchester for some reason, Mancunians. What would you say as a Mancunian he should try to acclimatise himself? I mean, obviously 5 coats to start with. 5 of those bench jackets that go down to your ankles. It's going to be bloody freezing in Manchester.
You will need that.
What else should he know about arriving in Manchester to acclimatise himself?
Well, acclimatise is the word. I mean, weather-wise, I mean, look, I was listening to some radio reports, some podcasts actually, and people were saying, oh, God, he's going to be in for a big shock coming from Lisbon to the Manchester weather. And it was during the time we were having some rains and some really poor weather. And I thought, this is the thing. People in the UK just presume you're in Portugal, Lisbon, so it's just sunny every day. And, it's always glorious. And I looked out, it was grey and miserable. And I thought, it ain't that different at the minute. It's warmer, but we're going through one of those little spells where there's plenty of rain and things like that. So that won't be that different. I think what's going to be a bit of a culture shock for him is the winter time when the early nights roll in. So when it starts going dark at 3 o'clock and it's totally dark at 4, that will be a struggle, because I'll be honest with you, Carl, that used to depress the hell out of me.
You reminded me of an anecdote. Daniel Reyes, who I'm talking to tonight, the lawyer, he did his law in the UK. And I said, did you like it in the UK? He said, yeah, it was great. I really had a great time there. But one day I came out of a tube station in London, in East London, and I looked up at the sky And he said, in that moment, I just said to myself, I cannot take this anymore. I've got to go home. And he did. He just left. Well, I don't suppose he left there and then, but that was his decision to just quit that greyness that you're talking about.
Well,
that's London. It's even darker in Manchester.
I've got a similar story. So I used to take my eldest boy, Flynn. I used to take him to like a Yamaha music school in Stockport, which is a fair drive away from where I lived in Manchester. It's like a 40-minute drive on a Saturday morning. So I used to take him there. Anyway, I was joining the motorway one morning, coming on the sort of the on-ramp kind of thing, sort of driving up. It was quite steep. And I'm looking and I remember thinking, I thought, something's different. And I couldn't work out what it was. Something struck me. I thought, what is it? Something's different. What's changed here? And you know what it was? It dawned on me after about 20 seconds. It was a blue sky, Carl. Yeah.
Really?
I could see a blue sky.
UFO.
Normally it was just grey and overcast. You know, that's the norm. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the things that really used to get me down in the UK. You know, I love a blue sky and the sun being out. It's good for the heart. It's good for the soul. It's good for everything about you.
It really is, absolutely.
You know?
I still love it here. It means so much to me. It's right up there. And we don't often see this, you know, tax advantages, food, culture, people, but just blue sky. You know, and you're going to get to see a bit of it most days. I don't know about sunshine for 300 days of the year. That's a very contentious.
Well, yesterday my brother sent me a picture and he said, you know, it's like 0 degrees and we've got the first snow. So a little picture of his garden and the snow. And I said, yeah, it's quite cold. I said, yeah, it's quite cold here today. It's 16 degrees. This was at like 10 in the morning. And you can imagine the reply that I got. You know,
you never heard from it. You never heard from him again for the rest of the day. That was bragging rights remain with us in that department.
It worked. But so it's very different. You know, what we think you do soften a little bit. You know, I mean, if this was UK now, you'd be out in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt walking around. Sit in. It's quite chilly, you know. I'll put my jogging bottoms on and, you know, maybe a vest. You know, just try and keep it 16 degrees. It's a bit chilly. So, but yeah, no, I ain't going back. So
very good. Bon dia from Pam this morning, and Aviva is here as well. Back from your travels, how was it? I would suspect you had a fantastic time. I think including Italy as part of your itinerary. So tell us about that, if you will. James thinks a bottle of Beral in Senor Amorin's changing room management suite could be useful as well.
Do you know what I'd tell him to try? I'm going back to the UK for Christmas because that's the one thing I do miss about the UK. I prefer Christmas there because it's what I'm used to, and I've got a lot of family there, obviously. So for my kids, they want to be with their cousins. They've got close connections. But what I'm looking forward to is all the crap food that you
miss throughout
all
the year.
all the guilty pleasures. And the one that I'm looking forward to the most right now. Well, we've got a favourite Chinese that we have. It's called Hoyer's in a little place called Haywood on the outskirts of Manchester, Rochdale. But what I'm really looking forward to is fish with a potato scallop, mushy peas and curry sauce.
He should try that. He should
try that. He might be, I think he'd be pleasantly surprised. It's
a really smart fish and chip shop in Manchester will do the scallop with a bacalhau fillet inside it, and that would be really good. So if you want to get in the papers, if you're watching and you're a Manchester chippy, you might want to do that and invite him in, because that's going to get you in the papers in Manchester, probably in United Kingdom, on the footy pages, and here in Portugal as well. That's a nice touch. Splash a piri-piri on that as well, obviously, as well. But be careful, it can be very hot. Not right. Okay, he needs a new stadium. Stop. Okay, Pete is just being a wind-up now, isn't he? I think. Maybe he's the guy. Oh, it's like Daniel's story. A night train to Lisbon. Has anyone read this? Which is about how a German teachers are hilarious. One of my kids had a German teacher who walked into their classroom one morning and said, whatever they were, class 3 or 4, whatever. Class 3, you should really check your diet, as he went to open the window, commenting on this. The rich fruitiness of the atmosphere in the room. Nice bit of German frankness there. Here, more German frankness with this teacher who just left school to travel to Lisbon with no notice. I have got that down as a great life choice. I bet the kids were happy that day. They just had to sit quietly for a bit and have a bit of a day off until they could find a cover teacher. I Ain't Going Back, my immigrant anthem, Carl Hyde there. And I miss my, look, you've started something here. I miss Indian takeaway boxes from Tesco.
Yeah. There's lots of little things. I mean, I could go on. Listen, I'm a kid of like the 80s and the 90s, so I've got my favorite sweets, you know, all kind. I'm terrible.
Yes. Oh, and you need to give him the official outfit as well, apparently. String vest and a hanky on your head. That's a bit outdated,
Nesbitt, I think. That's Scotland you're talking about.
Rab Nesbitt or Monty Python even right there. We will talk about real estate eventually, Carl. But there was one other thing about how about a law that says you can only criticize when you can perform better than the one you criticize. No, the Brits, that would never happen in England. There are some crazy laws at the moment, but that won't be one of them. That would ruin all the fun. I think everyone can agree in the UK that was never going to happen. And anyway, you haven't seen me take a free kick. I mean, I imagine you've probably got a special moment, haven't you? And this is, as a grown man, I remember reenacting a cross from my friend John, Dr. John. He crossed the ball. I think we'd pushed all the kids out of the way, free kick. He floated the ball in. I put my head on it, back of the net. And to me, that's as precious as David Beckham's free kick. Have you got a moment like that from your own footballing career?
I don't have a footballing career. I've got two left feet that point backwards, Carl. Yeah, I like sitting down with a beer and watching the game.
Yes,
and passing judgment. That's
okay. Yeah, all right. And you don't let your own skills get in the way of that.
No, I'm very good at that side of it. Actually, I'm kind of a professional.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it. I miss Christmas pudding and mince pies at Christmas. That's why my eldest wants to go back to UK. I said, why? He says, because I need a mince pie. I think we should be able to get him out here. But
do you know what I love about? Sorry to interrupt. You know what I love about the UK Christmas is it's Boxing Day. I miss Boxing Day because for me that's the best day. The kids have had their day. They've got all the toys and the gifts and all this. You've all had, I always have a full English breakfast, everything. Then we have a great dinner, and then Boxing Day is just like a day of even more excess, and everybody's off work. Most people, obviously, there's key workers that aren't. But I miss Boxing Day. It's an integral part of it. And here in Portugal, it's just like you do some on the 24th. 25th, and it's back to work on the 26th.
Isn't it? I was going to say it's like work, isn't it? It just gets a bit too busy again by Boxing Day.
The UK, most people drag it out. So if I had my own businesses and that in the UK, and a lot of businesses they'll work up to, the last few hours of Christmas Eve, which is the 24th in the UK. Talk about celebrating the main day. And then people will have holidays and that in between Boxing Day and New Year. So it becomes kind of like a nice long week of, merriment and excess, and I miss that. I really do like that. So I'm looking forward to that again this year.
No, fair enough. I'm sending the link to Rowan, who's going to join me at 10. And we're going to talk about the radio station that we worked on together in the UK, going on to DAB in the southwest of the UK. But we must talk a little bit about real estate. How's it going in your world, Carl?
For me personally, it's going very well at the minute. I'm very busy. I've got 3 deals that are closing. Recently did a couple of CPCVs, got another CPCV going through hopefully next week, and then they're going to follow up with deeds soon after. So just dealing with that is taking a lot of my time. It's never straightforward. There are always kind of bumps in the road and challenges to deal with. So from a personal perspective, I'm very busy.
Good.
So I need to keep that momentum going. It's very easy to fall off. So just keep grinding, meeting people, getting clients, and trying to help people come here. And I think that's going to be a little bit easier in the coming months. I think we're due another kind of mini influx from.
Yeah, well, I was talking about that. The Trump victory. We had some graphs of searches on Portugal property that I was talking about earlier on. You're noticing this phenomenon as well, are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've spoken with clients directly in the past couple of weeks who are looking at, they want to come to Portugal, and that I suspect I don't always ask them why, because I know it's a sensitive issue, and I don't. It's hard to broach politics with clients, so I just try to stay away from it. But I suspect that's the reason. And then if you just go on Facebook, you can just see it is a wash in all those groups that we're probably both in, expat Portugal this and, you know, different zones in different areas. People are like, hey, I'd love to come to Portugal. I don't know where to begin. You know, I need to get out of this hellhole.
That sort of thing, yes.
Where can I begin? And look, I can even say earlier in the year, even I helped a gentleman from California come over. He started renting a place in January 2024. Didn't arrive until the summer, but he said, I'm getting out of this hellhole before the election. I don't want to be there when it all goes off. So even then, you know, and that was his view. You know, that's not my view. So
that's what I was going to say. It's not yours to reason why. It's yours to find him a nice gaff, isn't it?
No, and he's here. He's a neighbour basically. He lives very close to where I am. Great guy, but he didn't want to be there to see it and all the drama that could unfold. I think it's actually been pretty smooth from what I can see as an outside observer. But there's a lot of people feel that way. And look, you know, that's on both sides as well. I mean, I think a lot of people who would have voted on the Democrat side, they're sort of the main group that would be looking to move. But I know others that are Republicans that just said, you know, just the Republican, they're sick of the politics and they're sick of the rhetoric all the time and
they're sick of the crazy. Absolutely.
They just want a normal life. You know, they might have different political views, but they're still normal human beings. You just might have a bit of a different view on taxation or, you know, what things should be done. So they've left as well because they don't want this sort of, you know, this kind of polarized society. They don't want to be part of it. So it's on both sides.
Agree. Talking of both sides, there are people who say, I need to get out of this hellhole, talking about Portugal. And now I thought the Facebook groups, well, you know, when you were talking about Facebook groups, I don't know why or how it happened, but the other day I'm in one of these Facebook groups is like, you know, Portugal is the worst place on earth and how to get out of it. Facebook group. It's not called that. However, I went in there and I was immediately triggered and enraged because somebody had put, you can imagine, right? Somebody had put a picture up of the cogida, you know, the very, it's not a good looking Portuguese meal. It's very pale. But I bet I don't think I've even had it, but I can imagine it's really tasty, and it's the sort of thing I'd love to have as a prato do dia for bloody 10.
My father-in-law has it every Sunday. He goes to a local restaurant and gets it, and I'll say it looks like the most boring thing ever. It's all white
to look at. It is so pale. It is, isn't it? It's like what your nan cooked in the 1950s. All the nutrition's on the ceiling and not in the food necessarily. But I think it's probably really tasty. And someone was, you know, oh, here's another reason why this country sucks. Look at this food; it's the worst food in the world, or whatever. And the group does have the word "leaving" in the title of it in the group. And I just simply put innocuously, I thought, "When are you leaving?" And I got a warning, got a public warning for that. And I did.
Wow. I mean, unfortunately, that's the world we live in, where you're not allowed to have an opinion, and people take things far too seriously. In fact, they take themselves far too seriously. You know, I just say
in that moment. To be fair,
have you got a bleep button, Carl? Can you get ready with a bleep?
Let me hold on a minute. You're going to have to bear with just for a moment. I do have a bleep button, but often people take me by surprise with the bleep button. I'm not ready for it. So yes, I'm ready for you now, Carl.
I say to those people, take a fucking day off. Okay.
Yes.
Get over yourself, you know. So if you don't like it, you're allowed to say you don't like it, but don't use it as like
it's a Mancunian spirit right there. Loving that. Now I've got
I'll give you an example. When I was a kid in the UK, you know, my mum used to make a soup which was ribs and peas. Yeah, and I absolutely hated it as a kid. Yeah,
ribs and peas, unusual.
Yeah, so it was pork ribs, and then she put in the dried peas, and it was. I think it had come from you know, her dad was Irish, so it was a simple meal. So if you looked at it now, you'd think, my God, that looks disgusting. But as I got older, I started to appreciate the taste. And you know, my mum passed away a long time ago, so I can't. But I can still smell that food. Now somebody looked at it and go, wow, that's horrible. No, it was simple food, but it was delicious food, you know. And sometimes it's foods that are built out of necessity, and they call it, like, you know, poor man's food. Like my father-in-law, my wife is actually Cape Verdean, really. She was born here, so both her parents are from Cape Verde, and they have a dish called cachupa, which is 2 different types of corn, and then they'll put in whatever cuts they have. And the primary, part of the meal is the corn because it was cheap. You could store it for a long time. And let me tell you, it's one of the most delicious meals. If I could eat it every single day, I would. So look at it; it doesn't look like much, but I'll tell you what, it tastes delicious. So people commenting on a national dish, a national favorite dish, get a grip.
Yes, and do you know what? We've a word of the day for them. Thank you very much to the person who sent me this. Texticles. And apparently, texticles are the people who have the balls to say anything to you over text and online, but never to your face. That's pretty good, though, isn't it? So, well said there. I didn't expect to be having that conversation, but it's all around us at the moment, isn't it? Kashupa, is that right?
Kashupa. You know what? It's delicious. I mean, it really is. I mean, I guess it's been, we make it with good quality cuts of meat and really nice chorizo. So it has pork in it. It has we put chorizo in it. The whole chorizo sausages, and then you put potato, mandioca, maybe sweet potato, cabbage. Let me tell you, it is absolutely delicious. But even better, the day after, you fry it off. You fry it off.
Oh, Carl coming here talking like that.
Kachupa and you can have it for breakfast. Absolutely delightful.
Yeah, and when you criticize people's food, you are criticizing an emotional connection, aren't you? And one of the ground rules of the group that I was reprimanded about was please don't put people on the defensive. And it's like, well, I was immediately put on the defensive by that being criticized. Because are you having this as well, Carl? We're at the stage in our expat journey where we're even more defensive than probably the nationals are about where we live.
I think so. And I think it speaks to it's pretty good, really, because it shows that you feel like this is home and you feel like you need to defend it. So when I hear people, taking a dump on it kind of thing, I'm like, no, I'm going to tell you why. There are plenty of problems here. It is not paradise. It's not perfect. There's a lot of things that I would change. Yeah. But like I said before, I ain't going back to where I'm from. I'm still a very proud Englishman. Yeah, I love my country. I love Manchester. But I'm not going back for many reasons, But I do feel like if I hear somebody say anything negative about Portugal, I'm like, hey, don't.
You'll have two Carls to deal with. And I've dealt with that Mark Manson in the Portugal Resident today, saying this is the most anxious country in the world. What a lot of tosh. I've really stuck it to him in the paper.
I didn't read that. I saw something. Where did I see that yesterday?
It's hilarious. It's a very well-made video. But anyway, we're overdue. We've got Rowan waiting to speak to us. But before you go, there's an important real estate question. Is today's theme buying and selling houses? Well, it is. It was meant to be. I'm currently selling my UK house. Pete is as well, I think. Can you help people who've got homes for sale in the UK? I'm sure you know a man who can in your helpful way.
Honestly, I don't think I do. I wasn't in real estate when I was in the UK. I did actually flip a few homes, but buy and renovate, that kind of thing. And I'm not sure the agency is in the UK yet. I think the Europe expansion, and I'm talking geographically, not politically, of course. We're in. Yeah, I know. I know we're in Spain. I think they've got an office in. I think it's Barcelona opened recently. So it's slowly spreading. But no, I don't think I can. Sorry.
That's fair enough. I think EXP might be good because they have those networks that are all around the world. Try Vitor Costa on that. Yeah, there you go. Capucha is Cape Verde. We will be with you in just a moment, Rowan. So I'll just keep you waiting. Cape Verde, a typical dish, kashupa there. And yes, this is really great, James. Thank you for being here this morning. Maybe you're at the stage. I thought I had left those groups behind, but I just saw something where I felt I needed to.
The thing is, they said don't say anything that's going to trigger people, but the entire point of that group is to trigger people.
Yes,
so they trigger everybody else, but you can't trigger them.
And do you know what one of the other rules is? You're not allowed to use laughing emojis.
Great. Miserable bunch of bastards.
Unless it's truly because something is fun. You're not allowed to use it as a put down. Right. And this is what they're going to face from us, right? The Carlmageddon. I like that. If anyone attacks Portugal, you will feel the force of the Carlmageddon. The Munson and the Hyde waiting for
I criticise the place enough. I don't sit here and skip around and, and there's rainbows and unicorns everywhere. Far from it. I've a good handful of things that I think, God, I do this part of it I do not like. But, if you really don't like it, go back then, wherever you go back to the UK.
How long do you stay in the group that's about leaving? There should be a time limit on that as well.
Yeah.
Right. Carl, excellent.
Sorry.
Great fun, insightful, helpful, poignant at times. Great to speak to you as ever. See you next month. And in December, we'll be we're going to be near Christmas by then. Hopefully, you'll be able to connect with us around that time. And we'll be talking about looking ahead into the new year. And I'm sure you've got some big plans for that. And we send our love to Veronica, of course, and hope to see her then too. Yeah. Cheers, mate. Have a great day. Under the blue sky. Oh, that's I'm trying to give you, I just gave you another expletive. Okay, there he goes. All right. Cheers, mate.
Bye now.
There goes Carl. And as promised, we've got a special guest this morning, an unexpected item in the bagging area. I'm sure you won't mind me calling you that, Rowan Ford. I've called you much worse in the past. And you, me, when we used to work together at Access All Aerials, which is launching soon on DAB in the southwest of the UK. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. Here he is.
Good morning, mate.
How are you? Road Dog, how are you? Been a while, isn't it? It's just like old times, though.
Oh, too right. But no, it's a great pleasure to be back with you again after so long.
It's been a while, isn't it? Now, my rough calculation is that we started working together about 10 years ago. 2014 roughly, yeah. Or thereabouts. Yeah.
Maybe 10, 11 years ago, something like that.
And I think we'd already started Access All Aerials at the great Dame Hannah Rogers Trust at Seal Hayne, the stuff of myth and legend, now, of course, in the southwest. And I remember you and your dad coming to an event. And you know me, I'm always very shy and retiring in social situations.
Right, whatever.
Yeah, and there I was on the PA and playing a bit of music to people, whether they liked it or not, in the quad there. And I think you and your dad popped over, and your dad said, Rowan's quite interested in DJing. And I think you might have some activities here that Rowan might want to come and get involved with. And the rest, my friend, is history, is it not? Is that the story as you remember it?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So could you tell everyone what Access All Aerials was, and how it is for you?
Okay, well, let's start off with what Access All Aerials is. Would be an easier one to start with, probably. For the ones that don't know, it's an online-based radio station, which yours truly, Mr. Munson, very kindly set up many years ago. And
with Noah, it's what Noah listened to on the Ark, isn't it?
Oh dear. But it's now been taken over because, of course, like Carl said, it was run by the Dame Hannah Rogers Trust, but it has been taken over by another disability charity based in Exeter in the southwest of the UK called, oh, nice one, called Cedar. Yeah. And we are one of the branches now of the charity. Yeah. And I have got the honour, if you like, of being the official deputy station manager for the radio station, which is managed and run by the ever so brilliant Craig Bowden.
Craig, some amazing people there, right, including Craig.
And of course, his nutty brother, Chris.
Shout out to Chris. We've got to say hello to Chris. We should get Chris on one of these days as well, because he loves to go on to other radio stations, doesn't he? He's been to most of the radio stations in the southwest, I think, and been in the studio. He loves them.
Yeah, I think most in the southwest, quite a few in Cornwall, and probably a good few in Dorset, I want to say.
Yes, yeah. Fantastic. So alive and kicking coming out of Devon and specifically in Exeter, the county town.
Well,
that's where Cedar is. That's where the new studio is. I've not seen that yet, but no. that's where you broadcast from. Is it in Exeter?
Yeah, we're based in Marsh Barton on the industrial estate. We've
Shouts out to the Marsh Barton Massive.
Oh, too right.
Yeah.
And we, of course, as you quite rightly set up, are an internet-based radio station, but we are, I'm very pleased to say, as of the 1st of this month, officially on DAB Plus across Exeter. So anyone that's in the Exeter area, and I think the furthest I've reached is possibly Clumpton, I want to say.
Clumpton.
But certainly in the Exeter area. And so all I will say is, if you're in Exeter and you've not discovered us on your DAB frequencies yet, as Carl would say, what are you playing at?
What are you playing at now? I don't say that, do I? No.
You used back
Now,
in the
for
day.
people in Portugal and the rest of the world, you can listen online. If I press this button, well, is that the output that will be happening now? Shouldn't you be there? And you've been unable to get there because of the weather in England at the moment.
Quite right. Normally, of course, I would be with you every Thursday morning from 10 till 1. And yes, it is. That is currently the output.
If I was your woman, I got so many copyright strikes this morning. And is that going to be one of your old shows? What's going on with that?
I have no idea what Craig's put out this morning. He hasn't.
But it's word up, everybody.
There's every chance it's probably just the.
My goodness, right. Now, if people want to listen over here and get to know some of the presenters, they can do that online, as I was just doing there. Tell us about some of the presenters, because the amazing thing about Access All Areas, it gave people with a whole range of disabilities a chance to have their own radio show, which was pretty much unheard of. You know, we have people with locked-in syndrome doing radio shows. They had the right sort of technology and support to do their own radio show. All kinds of abilities, levels of ability. Tell us about some of the presenters.
Well, apart from my good self, there's Chris Bowden, of course, does his own or takes part in a radio show. In fact, he takes part in a couple, actually. So he does his own with a lovely girl called Charlie Ann. And then
that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me.
And then there's also the mid-morning mix with the Cedar Crew, like there was back in the day.
Fantastic.
That's still going. And so they do that 2 days a week. I think it's 2 days a week. Yeah, Tuesday, Friday.
Hello.
That's my darling wife in the background.
Hello, darling wife. You don't have to appear on the screen. I know you're very modest, but you're obviously helping Rowan behind the scenes there. So good morning to you. Thank you very much.
She's just said good morning to you as well.
Good morning. Bom dia from Portugal.
So there's those guys. We also have a lovely young guy called Chris, who comes and does a very random show, where he's really into anime and sort of Japanese and Chinese and God only knows what. So very unique presenter, and basically
these are live shows throughout the day, though, right? If people want to interact with a live DJ, and I'm sure the Access All Areas DJs would love to hear from people in Portugal. You can send them a message, get a request, get a shout out with the Access All Areas.
Even if you're over there, you should, as long as you have a smartphone, be able to download the Access All Areas app.
Check you out. It's come a long way since we used to have 2 tin cans and a bit of string back in the day, isn't it? Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. Well done to you all. You're on DAB now. You're on the app. This is fantastic. You're giving some amazing people, by the sound of it, an incredible chance to have a go at broadcasting.
Oh, definitely.
And you're open to more broadcasters in the Southwest if they wanted to get on.
Definitely, yeah. And even if you're not in the Southwest, but you'd like to get involved with us, then I'm sure if you get in contact with us, probably best by email, then we can have a chat with you. And even if you want to record your own show, because we do have a lovely guy called Ben Lister, who is from up north, believe it or not, but he still sends us an episode every week, which we then rebroadcast out on our frequencies and on the app and so on.
People who make radio shows around the world, or could do, and send them into you for rebroadcast on Cedar.
I don't see why not. Yeah,
fantastic. T Duck, he's a radio guy through and through, loves radio, and a big supporter of our show here. Talk about Cedar, please. So tell us more about the umbrella organisation. What does Cedar do for people in the South?
Fair enough, and
UK?
that's a very good question. Thank you for that. Basically, what Cedar is a little bit like what the Dame Hannah Rogers Trust was. It's basically a disability charity that very good.
We're going
Carl,
through that. I'm
that.
a professional, mate. You taught me everything I know.
Basically, what the charity does is it supports a variety of people with disabilities, sort of right from tiddlers right up to adults, and even some older adults with a wide range of disabilities.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Yes.
And in fact, that's our new website, believe it or not, actually.
Pretty good.
And they
got a big fish tank. You've got a very big fish tank at your headquarters.
Not quite. That's from
Right.
a day out, I believe.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Where they took some of our service users to an aquarium, I think, by the look of it.
It looks like Plymouth, doesn't it? The aquarium.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, we have two teams, if you like, as well.
Yeah.
One which is the hub, which is where the main Cedar guys go to, and they do a variety of activities, including obviously radio. And I think there's things like art, sensory room, IT, so computers.
Well, I've got it here on the screen. Look, a fully accessible IT suite with
Yeah.
a range of assistive technology devices, which is that was such a fascinating part of our work, wasn't it? Is where how people could interface with technology, the things that we take for granted often, and where people would struggle to get involved with IT. They'd love to, but the interfaces weren't there. You've got all the assistive technology for that, which is fabulous. Large and fully accessible art room, sensory room, as you mentioned there, with an overhead hoist and multimedia system with projector. That sounds like a disco, basically, a nightclub to me. An accessible beauty salon, which is where Rowan goes before his show for hair and makeup.
Oh, very funny.
And large, accessible and well-equipped kitchen, accessible radio production studio, access all areas, digital hub, and with green screen and video production facilities, and an accessible and comfortable social space or two as well. Well done, Cedar. Keep up that great work there. That's fantastic, Rowan. Isn't that nice to be part of that bigger organisation?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And to be honest, if it wasn't for Cedar, I don't think Access All Aerials would still even be here now.
Well, I think you're right. So shout out and lots of love to Cedar, and of course the bridging influence between the two, which I think we should say hi to Jacqueline and Christy as well, of course, who were integral in the move of the studio. We had an amazing studio, to be fair, didn't we? We had an old was it Radio Devon or one of the top radio stations. Dear old Lenny had that in his possession and said, "Do you want to use it?" And we had the most incredible professional radio studio, didn't we? After using pretty much a tin can or two and string, we went into it having this incredible studio. It was so much fun. It was so much fun to do that. And so thank you, Jacqueline and Christy and everyone else who helped make the move from Dame Hannah Rogers Trust over to Cedar as well. Yeah, lots of love to everybody at Dame Hannah's in Ivorybridge this morning as well. Anything else you want to say? Congratulations on this. It's a very significant thing to be on DAB. So well done, Rowan. Please say hello to everybody in the team from me. And we've had a chat.
I certainly will do, yeah.
Connected Portugal and UK. But how do you want to finish this morning? What do you want to urge people to do?
Well, one thing that I will say is if you're watching us this morning and you'd love to, even if you're out there in Portugal, would still like to donate or support the charity in some way, then I'm sure Carl will put or be able to give our website out to anyone that asks.
This is the Access All Aerials one, right? Because if anyone wants to contribute, you'd like it to go straight to Access All Aerials.
Well, it would be nice, yeah.
You choose if you're kind enough to donate. That could be to Access All Aerials or to Cedar, who are doing fantastic work.
One thing that I will say is, if regardless of whether you're here in the UK or anywhere around the world, really, and you'd like to get involved in some way, even if it's just to say hi to a presenter or whatever, then probably best to either contact us via the website, which of course is accessallarials.co.uk, or you can, because we are accepting WhatsApp messages as well. So
what
if you're
voice
able
note?
to use
You can
WhatsApp,
send a voice note.
yes. And then
Oh, that's really good. And you know what? Sometimes when you're doing a radio show in the middle of nowhere in a little niche radio station, you're not necessarily, apart from friends and family, you're not necessarily getting much interaction with
to
the
be
outside
fair,
world. And it's amazing, isn't it, when you get a message from someone you don't know? So
yeah,
that'd be lovely.
I mean,
if someone wants
to be fair, actually, on a Thursday, I quite often get a few of my regular listeners contact in, but we also get the odd message from someone like, I think I had someone in Spain message in, and
Brilliant.
I think I may have had someone in France, possibly, or possibly I may have even been in Portugal somewhere. I'm not quite sure.
Well, that's what I want to ask the Gumpers to do. If you can send a message from Portugal and say, bon dia from Portugal, good morning Portugal, representing in the house here on Access All Areas. Lovely to it'd be fantastic if you could send a message like that. And we've got a late shift as well, of course, Rowan. A lot of people listening in the United States later on today, and they could also send a message. Wouldn't that be fantastic to get something from America as well?
Oh, that would be awesome. And the best number for that, of course, would be the 07392 60 34 34.
All right. Say that again.
Of course, is 07392 60 44 34. And you can, of course, like I say, send a WhatsApp message to that number. And we would love to obviously hear from everybody, regardless of wherever you are in the world. And even if you wanted to send a voice message, like Carl said, and just say, hi from Portugal, loving the tunes, keep up the great work, for example, then that would be awesome. And I will endeavour, certainly myself anyway, to play as many voice messages as we get, or even if it's just a text or an email, I endeavour to get through as many messages as I possibly can. And
you've got the best producer in the world there, haven't you?
But like I said, if you would rather drop us an email, then simply do that to studio at accessallarials.co.uk, and that will come through to people like myself, station manager Craig, and whoever else is on air at the time. Will see your email, and we will endeavour to make sure we give you a shout out at least. And if you're listening in as well, when you email us or text us and you'd love to hear a tune, then please do mention that in your message.
Yeah, just one thing, not between 9 and 10 on a weekday morning, please.
But no, in all seriousness, if you'd love to maybe even just get a dedication for somebody, like maybe it's a loved one's birthday, maybe say you've got someone, like if you live out there in Portugal and it's someone back here in the UK's birthday maybe, or you just wanted to wish them a happy Christmas or whatever, then please do, I do encourage you to add that into your message. Like I say, even if it's just a text or a email, and we will endeavour to make sure that we get that shout out read, or somehow anyway.
Well, you're a flipping legend, mate. I think we should do this more often. We should have maybe a monthly check-in with you to see how things are going. Maybe a different presenter could come on to Good Morning Portugal and say hi as well.
Oh, definitely. In fact, I was talking to Craig about that before we came on, and he was saying that he would love to team up with you, and if we can collab in some way, like you say, even if we just do a once a month show with you.
I can't have that Chris on here though, because he's chaos. Tell him he's banned. Tell him he is banned. All right. So lots of love to you all there. You're a flipping legend, Rowan. It's great to see what you're continuing to do with Access All Areas. And look at this. Good to see Access All Areas is getting the recognition for its years of service. What you do is very much needed and appreciated by the communities. Thank you. Isn't that lovely? And yes, says T-Duck, make it so. Make this a regular feature. So yeah,
I will definitely do that.
We'll
It'll
see.
definitely be at
You
least
haven't,
once
you
a
haven't,
month,
you
if
haven't
not
got rid
more.
of me, mate. We're going to be doing this. I'm back.
I
I'm the
definitely haven't got
Terminator.
rid of you, mate. You might be hundreds of miles away, but I have definitely not got rid of you.
You'll be seeing me again, Carl McGinnon. All right, mister. Say hi to everybody. Lots of love. Big hugs, as we say here in Portugal. Beijinhos, abrazos, kisses and hugs from us. And we'll set that up. We'll see you again soon. All the best.
Definitely, mate.
Mr. and Mrs. Ford there, by the way, so thank you.
And love to you and the family as well,
Absolutely,
mate.
mate. All the best to you.
Catch up soon.
All right, big round of applause for you. Cheers, take care. Bye
for now, mate.
See ya. There he goes, the great Rowan Ford, MBE next, I think. Right, okay, let's go out with... You should have seen his face when I said that. Yes. And Rowan Atkinson, Rowan Ford, Rowan Atkinson. He does look like the great. Yes, I think some of you may have been saying that. We'll see him again soon, right? Mr. Bean. And other roles, of course. Right, let's go out with that video. You can see his face now. That video, I promise, from the great Terence Austin. Guess where this is. See you again tomorrow. Take care.
Santos, and I'm a real estate agent with IAD Portugal. Today I'm delighted to show you a roomy one-bedroom apartment in the heart of São Martinho do Porto. This property has a unique opportunity for anyone looking to live a few steps away from the beach. Designed for comfort and functionality, every corner of this apartment has been thoughtfully structured to be a cozy and practical living environment. This apartment is situated on the ground floor and it has easy access. You will find all the amenities close by. At the nearby markets, you will find fresh produce. There's also at a walking distance a pharmacy, restaurants, cafes and bars. You can use this apartment as your own home or rent it in the high season. You may rent it for 6 to 8 months at a price of €700 per week, or alternatively you can rent it on a long-term basis, a flexibility according to your own needs. Call me, Adelia Santos, at 9338 73177.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.